Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit more about manifesting and the ego and the resistance of the ego because the ego can resist a lot. They have very good coffee here in D. There's a small shop by my fresh grinded coffee there. Whatever is that important. So here is a thing about the ego. Um, three so 3D, 5D. This is your persona, and this is your ego structure. Thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, right? And this is creates your reality experience, and it's collaborate with your non-physical part, God, whatever you want to call it, right? So matter, right? And the ego, you can see the ego structure as a bit of a, as Bashar described it so nicely, as a diving glass. So a part of you is in underwater. That's like the 3D experience, and you think what you think you should be doing, but you do not know exactly. And you have the higher self, the non-physical part of you that beams at you by the desires and beams by your highest excitement, the path of least resistance, how you can swim the best way through the life circumstances. This is in the 3D, and then all the synchronicities and everything falls in places perfectly if you do so. The physical mind thinks, no, 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 I don't think there's God. I don't see it. I don't trust it. And who is this guy? And why should I trust that? A bit of the Bible story. But yes, it speaks to you all the time. And the more, but there's a bit of a forgetfulness of the idea that we can do it. If we look at universities, if we look at society structures and so on, we forget the whole structure that's here, but it is there, right? So the more we can find that structure back, and the more we can restore that structure, and knowing that it is extremely powerful, and it is actually a co-creation between the non-physical and physical part, and they both have their unique tasks. The more we can also understand that the ego is is designed for a certain thing, and is also not designed for certain things. So if you restore their task, so to speak, the physical mind can ease and relax and surrender in the 3D, because it knows it's being guided by the navigation system from the non-physical path plane, right? And if you can say, okay, I'm going to restore that, then the ego can relax, and it doesn't have to resist so much for transformational work, because the higher self is guiding you in the 3D and beaming you all the time through life circumstances, and that clashes with the ego sometimes through the life circumstances it encounters, triggers, and this is actually limiting thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and emotions and stuff. The ones still be acknowledged and transformed, and transform the ego structure, and thus create change your frequency, and thus create the reality that your highest self wants to manifest with you through the desires in the dream plane. But the ego doesn't want to see that. The ego is stubborn and say, no, 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 I'm going to build my own imperium here. I don't look at my higher self. And the higher self says, yeah, that's not the point of reality. That's not the point of it. And I want you to trust me. So the easier life, the easier you learn, it will become easier if you learn to work with these two together. And especially in the beginning, when you start to deliberately manifest your reality and you do not believe the structure to be like this, it takes a hell of an effort. The first year I started to work on this stuff, I really, really, really have to, listen like 3-4 hours to a podcast, and speaking with a whole group of all kind of manifesting group to really, get me to that idea that it really works, so that I can really trust this process like this. But once you break that ego of that resistance, the game between the two, the game the ego wants to play with you of getting back in power, negative ego, so to speak. But now you can see, okay, no, it's just you know, the resistance. And of course, um, the ego structure. So this is, I identify myself with Sjoerd in the 3D, and I'm of course much larger than that. Um, where I'm going. So, of course, it wants to hold myself safe in a 3D. It wants to hold myself protected from all kind of influence. So, if the ego structure could be changed so easily, it would be like a crazy thing. Because if the ego, the reality experience of the ego is only thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and that can be changed so easily. You know, imagine if someone says something bad to you, or something happens to you, or you have an image and you see that directly in the 3D experience. So there's always, you know, I mean, it has a bit of like, it has to be a bit thick to change. Otherwise, it will be so crazy, easily changed in all kind of direction, right? So it's logic, and the ego wants to hold you safe. The ego has traumatized, want to look at this traumatized because it doesn't want to re-experience this, and mostly it doesn't really want to re-experience it because it did not have the knowledge about how to transform it. Maybe, you know, you have been to therapists, maybe you have been going to psychological things, and also I did all kind of therapies, and you start to relive all kind of stuff, and at some point you really think like, you know, how often should I feel this pain, and it's still there. It is because it's not be fully acknowledged on the deepest possible layers, and to understand how it could have served you. And then there's still a bit of a root that started regrowing, and then, you know, it's coming back over again. And personally, I was on that story too, because, you know, I had not the easiest childhood, and I tried really everything from psychological things, and, you know, EMDR, inner child work, you know, it was an endless story until I started, like, you know, astrology. I've been 20-year astrologer. It was an interesting exploration. It's intellectually, I understand a lot, but transformational work, that's a whole other level. And the problem is with when you're not fully awake, and you believe that life is difficult or something like that, it reflects back to you all the time. Because so that's even including a therapist. It's even including you know, because everything is you. So let's say if you think life is a struggle and it's difficult to grow, you cannot not find a person that's going manifest a person or therapist or something like to you that is mirroring this back to you. So you really want to be so clear and sharp with what you believe it to be about reality, and then see that based on what you start believing it, the co-creative components. Maybe you have a desire about easy manifesting, and you manifest me today, and you read this and like, hey, it could be interesting. Well, this is what we teach in the groups. So shoot me a message if you ever want to join a group. So breaking the resistance, one of the things that I find really helpful is doing a daily meditation. Go in silence and calming the mind, so to speak. And a meditation can be, you know, something you do like 15-20 minutes in silence, maybe walking, maybe a guided meditation. I'm a big fan of Bashar, but also for the meditation I do Joe Dispenza now. Not everybody's a fan of Joe Dispenza. You have to find your own way, the path of least resistance. And when you understand that, often the ego doesn't want to look at its fears. Oh, wrong pen. The ego doesn't want to look at its fears. It wants to make you fear by looking at so this is interesting. This is actually very interesting. Most people doesn't want to start with this stuff in the beginning because they having fear by looking at fear, right? So if you experience yourself like it, you can ask yourself first, why do I not want to look at my traumas? And I don't want to look here, even there. So what's underneath there, right? So check for yourself, why do you want to look at your fear if you know that solving the fear transform you and make you a better version. And the ego says, no, it's dangerous to look at it, don't go there. First thing you want to know is that the more resistance you find on a certain theme by looking at it, it is the ego structure that wants you to make you believe that it is better not to look at it, but actually you want to see the devil in the eye, so to speak, and face your deepest fears and go through it, so to speak, and just ask because there's the gold, there's the little door, so to speak. And it's interesting because the more you focus on that, the more you're facing your fears and look in the eyes, and then you see the goal behind it. So I just want to share this. This is a small little thingy here. So see if you can find that to break that resistance. Okay, I hope this helps, and I wish everybody a beautiful day.